Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming today. As I've stated before, the challenges in reporting data and delays in publicizing results were categorically unacceptable. Iowa Democrats demand better of us, and quite frankly, we demand better of ourselves. And last night brought us one step closer to the completion of the 2020 Iowa Democratic Party caucuses. Last night, we reported the last remaining records of results from 1,765 precincts across Iowa, the nation, and overseas. It has been, and continues to be, our top priority to ensure that the data we have collected and reported accurately reflects the data as reported by each precinct chair. And that process is continuing today. This morning, we informed campaigns of two new steps over the coming days to ensure that the numbers we reported match the records from caucus night. First, we are providing presidential campaigns the opportunity to submit evidence of data entry inaccuracies, and we will work to make necessary corrections. Campaigns have until tomorrow at noon to send that information. In this process, the IDP will compare the reported numbers with the records of result from caucus night to ensure the integrity of our reporting. Additionally, this morning, we extended the deadline for presidential campaigns to file a recanvass or recount. Campaigns now have until noon on Monday to file a request. I want to express my profound gratitude to the thousands of volunteers and party leaders across our state for their leadership, their patience, and their perseverance to see this caucus through to its full report. Their selfless service and unrelenting spirit is one of the hallmarks of the Iowa Democratic Party. By most accounts, the organizers of the precinct meetings ran successful and inclusive caucuses. For example, over 4,200 caucus goers participated in the process at satellite locations, in senior living centers, mosques, labor unions, and overseas. And the caucus empowered Iowa Democrats to make their voice heard, no matter how they communicate. For example, we hosted first of their kind Spanish language and sign language caucuses. Simply put, these past 13 months have displayed the largest showing of democratic spirit I've ever seen in a caucus process. Iowans are investing themselves in changing the future, building a nation we're proud of, and beating Donald Trump to ensure our government is represented by and works for every single one of us. I am endlessly proud of their work. And today, until the process is complete, I will honor their service by making the reforms we need to earn their trust. As I've mentioned before, we will be undergoing an independent forensic review of the challenges that we saw on Monday night. What went right, what went wrong from start to finish, and what we can do better in the future. This review will take however long is needed, and its report will be delivered directly to the State Central Committee. This review is completely independent of myself, or the executive director of the party, our vice chairs, our caucus director, and the staff of the Iowa Democratic Party, and is accountable directly to the representatives who are elected by Democrats across the state. We have a lot of work left to do. There's no question about that. But I will say this. We have worked tirelessly over these last 4 days to produce a full record from all 1,765 caucus sites. Now we're going to work to finalize that process here over the next few days. I want to thank you for coming here today. I'm happy to respond to some questions as best I can, with the understanding that there are some things that I can answer, there are some things that I can't, and some that will be answered in the days and months ahead. And on Monday, we will hold another press conference to announce to discuss further after the deadline at noon on Monday, and we'll announce the details of that at that time.
Did you get enough leadership and communication out of DNC, and is Tom Perez out of line?
Listen, we've worked closely with the DNC throughout this process. They've been good partners all the way up to and through this process.
Is Tom Perez out of line?
Officials told NBC that they urged Iowa Democrats to avoid technology
We have stayed in, throughout this process, we have looked at ways that we can modernize our caucus process. In terms of the details that led to that, that will be covered in the course of the investigation.
Hey, Troy, can you walk us through this week when the DNC physically took over the recounting of process? And just explain to us, I guess, who was in charge this week of this went along? Was it the Iowa Democratic Party or the Democratic National Committee?
We work closely with the DNC throughout this process, but I can tell you one of the things that happened this week is as we had to move over to manual reporting and then manual review of the results, we've had tremendous support from Democrats across the state who stepped up to make sure that this process ran smoothly. And so we are, we work closely together throughout this process, and I'm glad we were able to produce a full result.
When the party chairman, though, yesterday said enough is enough, a couple days ago, you feel blindsided by that. And why not keep his request and just do a full recanvass, even though that's technically not in the rules? Why not do that?
One of my North Stars has always been that we must follow the rules that we have, and so the rules state that the person who can request a recanvass is a candidate themselves.
Why
But was
the deadline itself, the specific request from the campaign or his internal decision?
Sorry, what was that? Sorry, I missed you.
Why did you extend the deadline for the recanvass request so close to the due deadline today? Was this the request from a campaign, internal decision?
It was an internal decision. We were looking at how, once we had the results complete last night, we then sat down to figure out what the next steps were going to be going forward, and we decided to change it till Monday at noon to make sure that candidates had enough time.
Were you blindsided as Tom Perez out of line? Were you blindsided as Tom Perez out of line for how he handled that?
Listen, I've been proud to work with, proud of our partnership with the DNC. We continued, throughout this process, and that's all I'm going to say on that.
Has the National Party allocated the delegates yet? Why not?
The national delegates? Is that what you're referring to? We allocate the national delegates, and we'll be doing that over the weekend.
Troy, when you brought these phones, did you have enough people in the boiler room ready to answer phones? What caused those 1, 2, sometimes 3 hour delays for people?
A lot of that will be uncovered in the course of this investigation and review. But we believe that we have the capacity that we need, but as we go forward and review what happened on caucus night, we'll have more answers.
High traffic testing of the app. Did you do any high traffic testing of the app? Did you go through and have multiple people try inputting numbers to do testing of those apps leading up to the call?
Again, a lot of that will be uncovered in the course of this investigation and forensic review, and we'll have more to share at that time.
There's over 100 precincts in which the results news media organizations have found are anomalous. There are dozens in which the second alignment numbers are higher than the first alignment numbers, which shouldn't happen, and there are dozens in which the delegate equivalents don't mathematically match the second alignment. Did you check each precinct's worksheet before reporting the results, or do you have another explanation of why that might have happened?
What our job is at the Iowa Democratic Party is to report out the official reports that we receive from precinct chairs on caucus night. And so that is what we have done. That's what we've done, but we have this process right now, and we will see what comes in through this process.
You didn't double check the worksheet specifically were handed in?
The math worksheet is actually a legal document. It's signed by the precinct chair and the precinct captains, campaign representatives in those precincts, and so we are not allowed to change that. We have to report out what is reported to us.
Troy, do you feel like you needed the DNC's help Monday night and then the days leading up afterwards, or could you have done this by yourself?
This has been a partnership with the DNC, and we've continued we worked together to get through this process, and we've worked together since then to make sure that we could get to a full result like we did last night.
Troy, Mr. President, calling for a lawsuit against the tech company or the DNC. Is that something you would consider? Is that something you agree with?
I'll let Mike Kiernan speak for himself.
Would you there's delegates that have been allotted in some columns and some of the cells in the Excel worksheets that there's no final support in the numbers, but people like Tom Steyer have been awarded delegates. Are you guys going to be fixing that before allocating the national delegates, or are you guys going to? I know other reporters like New York Times, the personally registered myself, we found handfuls of just errors, not even the math errors, but just in the stuff. Are you guys going to be going through every single Excel worksheet row and fixing that before allowing the national delegates?
Well, I will say again that I can't speak specifically to that because we're going through this process right now, but we'll have more information to share coming forward. Right now, we are focused on reporting the final results.
Would you
Why
say
should
that the
Iowa ever
DNC
have
provided
this process?
adequate support throughout the entirety of the caucus process?
The partnership we've had with the DNC has been, we've been proud to work with the DNC. We've worked hand in hand with the DNC. It's been a partnership, and we're going to continue to move forward.
Troy, with the satellite caucuses, the virtual caucuses were shot down over hacking concerns. You know, why go ahead with an app even from the get-go, even just for optics reasons, even if you had tested the app?
Well, we have used an app in the past, and this was not an issue of a hack. This was an issue of a coding error on the back end of the system.
Did you try it?
No, I did not, but our team did.
So you're the chairman of the party and you did not try the app?
What's that?
You're the chairman of the party and you didn't try the app. Weren't you curious to know if this would work or not?
I reviewed certain pieces of the layout and stuff like that, but I did not actually use the app because I was not going to be in my caucus on Monday night.
When is the first time that you guys actually got a chance to utilize the app, to test it out yourself as the party? How long ago was that?
We'll get back to you. I don't have that information directly ahead in front of me right now.
Dozens of precinct chair people who are experiencing difficulties in downloading the app, using the app, and reporting through the helpline in the week, 10 days before the caucus. Did that set off any alarm bells?
So part of the challenge that we had was we had a very rigorous and sometimes onerous process of security. We wanted to make sure the process was secure for folks using the app. And so there was a lot of steps to be able to use the app. And so that's one of the challenges we have heard about in the course of this process. But like I said, we're conducting this investigation, what went right, what went wrong, and we'll have more to share in the coming days.
Onerous security steps, what do you mean by that?
Well, they just had to go through two-factor authentication to use the app, and so for some folks that was a few steps. But again, this was all done in the name of security. We wanted to make sure that whoever used the app had the ability, that it was a secure process, and that the person who was intended to use that app, the caucus leader, was in fact that person.
What is the requirement for initial testing?
Again, we're going through the review process, and we'll get back to you.
What argument can you make that Iowa should ever hold this sacred role in the process again?
I would say, look at what happened on Monday night. Take away the issues with reporting. The thousands of people who showed up across this state, who had spent the last 13 months going through this job interview process for these presidential candidates. Iowa Democrats showed up on Monday night. They had these meetings and they produced a result. Yes, it took longer than what we would have liked to have seen. But but Iowans came out on Monday night and made sure that they had their voice heard in this process.
How can you take away the reporting aspect of that, though? This has changed the entire opening chapter of the Democratic nominating process.
Listen, conversations happen every 4 years about Iowa's role in this process. Right now, we're focused on finalizing the results.
Do you think you'll have the results finalized by the New Hampshire primary?
We are working towards that. Right now, as you know, we have the process on that the campaigns are going through. And we will see, we'll have more to share on Monday afternoon when we reconvene.
Troy, can you describe any training you offered to precinct leaders on using the app?
We had several sessions of training for folks, but we can provide more information.
Were they required to check to make sure they had gone through training before they were a precinct leader?
What's that?
If someone was a precinct leader, was there anybody at IUP that checked to make sure all precinct leaders had completed training with the app?
Well, not all precinct leaders use the app, and we knew that going into caucus night, but we worked to make sure that they all knew how to and offered resources and tools available to them on being able to use the app. Folks, we will be back on Monday afternoon, and we thank you all for being here today. Thank you.